This is what if Deku had... Hold on a second. Hey guys, this is what if Deku had tough love. The quirk allows him to see health bars above people's heads, along with their name and age. Only little thing about that is it's kind of a throw up in a quirk kind of thing. It makes you seem like a villain because you have to cause damage to heal someone. Now, this is going to be a hero Deku, but part 2 is going to be a villain Deku because I'm just going to take the full series in this one and then the full series in that one that I've seen. Now, I've only seen up to season 4, but yeah, and I haven't really watched many of the movies, sadly, but still. So Deku looks like this. Because everyone shuns him, Bakugo hit him so much that his right arm is covered in black bandages. And the spiked thing on his wrist, he carries that. He has that. It's no big deal for him, but yeah. Deku is a good person, but his hero gear is gonna look like this. It's just his regular clothes with a backpack and a big knife on his side. Yeah, I took these two characters and kind of combined the two. So really, this Deku just gets the gear from that guy. The knife, the first aid kit, and everything, because he's a nice guy, and he doesn't want to use his quirk if he doesn't have to. So, he has to wait till you're really beat up to use his quirk, because he does not want to use that much force on you. Actually, he still has to use a lot of force if you're beat up still, so... It's kind of a throw up on why he won't use his quirk, but he says it's because it causes too much pain wherever he's hitting. Or healing, if you want to say it that way. Now, Deku goes throughout his school life, and they didn't have him wearing... He wasn't really needing to wear that uniform he always wore. I mean, yeah, he was supposed to, but he actually had the ability to carry a bat 24/7, and being that Bakugo was a jerk, even though he still wore his uniform. But I mean, this is Deku's regular day clothes. He still wears the wrap and the gloves and the spiked wrist thing. But he just really does not care for the school uniforms. But he still has to wear one. He even has his earrings in 24/7, and no one's gonna stop him. And even his tongue piercing, I think that's what it is. It looks like a tongue piercing. So I'm gonna go with tongue piercing. And he always has his chain on his side. His wallet chain, which, yes, that's what it is. It's to prevent someone from stealing your wallet. But for Deku, it's just in case someone thinks they're getting a little too rowdy. And he can just take off the chain and start swinging it around. Like Ghost Rider style. As he doesn't have a regular chain, it's a really thick metal chain. Now, we're gonna get to the point where the sludge villain happens. Now, Deku, this thing took his bat away, and he felt useless. But he's strong physically, so he's able to kind of muscle through it. He's a lot stronger than Bakugo is in canon, so he's basically able to walk as much as he can and actually be able to move out of the sludge villain for a second. He ripped himself off of it, then it jumped on him again. Then All Might showed up, punched it, knocked Deku out for a minute, for a little bit, and when Deku stood back up, All Might had signed his book, because Deku's still kind of a nerd, but he's a nerd that's gonna kick people's arses. That's spelled A-R-S-E, if you want to spell it that way, but it can also be A-R-S. It's basically the Irish word for ass. The arse. Fun fact. You know what? I'm going to bring back fun facts into my videos. Had them on my old channel, gonna have them in this one. So Deku is trained. So Deku says thank you, but he still wound up grabbing onto All Might. And he had grabbed his bat. saying thank you, All Might, and put it on his back, and put it in the holder he had for it, which is something like it's a tube thing on his back that he has, kind of like a thing to hold the bat. Kind of like a bat holder, but only one bat. So it's kind of specially made for this bat because Deku made that bat. It says Izuku the Demon. Kind of fitting of him. And he's had this bat for years. Now, I wasn't certain what to do, but I chose that he was going to use this quirk 90% of the time. But he can turn it off if he wants, but he can't turn off the seeing your health filter, saying that he's stuck with his whole life. What he can turn off is the whole thing about, he can turn off if he wants to heal you or not, so he can cause damage. He doesn't just heal you, and it's kind of like twice as much pain. Like, he'll hit you, and as much health points as it would take away, that's how much, double that is what he'll heal. And if you go below 0, like if he uses his power move where he can take all the healing back away from you if you like betray him or something, or if he keeps hitting you, healing you, hitting you, healing you, hitting you, healing you long enough and he has healed you like more than your regular max number, then he can go take it away and he can undo the healing instantly and you'll have all the same injuries. And because of that, if you go below 0, instead of dying, what's going to happen is you become enslaved to Deku and you must do whatever he wants. Like a minion, without choice or will. So, that's what happened if someone wanted to step up with him. And Deku, he's a nice guy, but he still doesn't take crap from anyone. So, we get a little bit later, he asked All Might, and boom, All Might fell out. He heard the story of All Might's thing and actually said, I think I could heal you, All Might, but it'll hurt. All Might said, go ahead, do it. And that was after being declined, being a hero. And Deku took his baseball bat, reared up a swing. All Might was confused on why he was. All Might wasn't sure why he was swinging, and he couldn't muscle up in time. He took a bad hit to the face that should have broke his skull. As he hit the ground, he looked at Deku, saying, "What are you pulling, kid?" Saying, "All Might, look at your stomach. Remember how bad it looked? Yeah, what's gonna change? Most of it's gone already. What the? Yeah, it's the amount of damage I do is twice that is what it heals. So if you could have shattered my skull, it would have had the force to fix you up. Mostly. And most of your organs even got returned. What? Yeah, I can make it where I can bring back things that were destroyed. With my power. That is impressive, kid." And then he said, "A few more rounds?" "Sure." And he just started hitting All Might. And healed him. Being that All Might was half dead the full time, Deku could always see that All Might, his numbers were always at half. It confused him. He never could ask All Might, but when he had healed All Might all the way, he could see that it was all full. But All Might had to get back to training so he wouldn't be weak. So he wound up going and getting a gym membership. A UA kind of gym membership where he's training like the UA students. Now, I'm just gonna say that Deku is a beast in One for All. And that's probably never gonna change. So he still did the same training thing with All Might because All Might wanted him to be the successor. And Deku accepted, and Deku even told him, well, you see, the more people I heal, the more power my fists can contain. Really? Yeah, I can pick up boulders at this point because I've healed like 3 people. But it's the amount of healing I do. Like, if it was like 30 people and altogether they only had 30 hit points missing and I healed them, then no big deal. If it was 2 people and they had like 100 and 500 missing, 100 to 500 missing, huge boost in strength. And does it ever go away? Nope. Ah, makes sense. So, what are you going to plan on doing now? Well, now I'm not certain. So Deku even wound up saying, wait a minute. Oh my, I have a big question for you though. Yes, what is it? What's with your pocket? What? Oh, the sludge villain. Oh no. And they both ran around. Deku said, All Might said he's gonna go find it. Deku said he had to get home and he was sorry to All Might. But he'll be there in a minute. Like, he'll have to get permission from his mom to come back outside. Then he said, no, I don't think I will. As he wound up texting his mom that he was going to take a little bit longer to get home, she was fine with it. Now, we get to the whole thing about Deku dealing with Deku getting there, and he just got there because he was walking home. So he still got there, but he was walking to see where the sludge villain might be. Now, slight difference from in canon, when he sees it's Bakugo, he's still not hesitant. He charges forward, but he has his baseball bat in hand. And they're saying, what's that kid doing? As he wound up stabbing into the sludge monster and used his baseball bat to rip Bakugo out. Throwing his bat in the air and it flipped a few times, he grabbed Bakugo by the shirt collar and the belt and threw him to the heroes, catching his bat like he was going to fight off the monster. He went to jump back. He couldn't jump backwards since Bakugo wasn't far enough for him to be safe. So he ended up fighting one-on-one with the monster. And it was like fighting liquid. It wasn't working very well until All Might yelled, I am here, as he charged forward, punching with the full force of One for All. And All Might watched this kid who knew he wasn't strong enough to stop this thing since he was going to be its victim before, save another person. As the whole thing with Bakugo saying he wasn't going to say thank you or anything and walking away still happened, because Bakugo's still just that guy to be a jerk. But there's a big difference. Deku even when All Might got there, he said, I want you to inherit my power. And Deku said, I accept. Without crying this time, because he's not a wimp. And because he already does physical training, he's pretty built. Like, he can swing that bat with a good extra ton of force. He's like pro baseball player strength. And if you don't know what that means, trust me, they're big guys. Basically, imagine a football player and shrink them down like an inch. And that's all. Yeah. The baseball players are not something to mess with. And Deku is just as strong as they are. Not even because of his quirk, it's because he trains almost daily. And then All Might gave him a strict training schedule. He said, I need to observe you for 1 day of physical training. Okay. He did the whole training thing for Deku, and then All Might said, you're doing these things wrong, and you need to do these things right. And he even got Deku the still all-American training workout that Deku needed. And this allowed Deku to be straight up a beast. Little by little, All Might was showing up his powers, and Deku even was able to hold at least like 30% of One for. He could throw like a punch with like 40%. No, I'm not gonna make it that much, but like, like he can already do 10% of One for All with no problems in him. But All Might said he might still not be strong enough. So they trained for the whole 9 months, but in this version it's slightly different. It was he had cleared it way easier. At that point, he just had to get everything, not just that part of the beach. He's trying to clear the full beach. And he's almost there. And then it's the last day, and he went and got showered, got All Might's, power, went and showered, was done, good, everything's fine. But when it was pretty impressive how powerful Deku just was. As All Might's saying, he's a good lad, but it'll take him a while to kick in. Luckily, there's still a while before the exam, which there was. Just enough time for Deku to feel it pop in. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what that's from. Hold on. So we have Deku's in training. Deku's in getting to there. Now he does the whole paper one, and he's the top scorer in the class of 1A. Then he does the physical training one. Now he wasn't getting the chance to help. I mean, he wasn't getting the chance to destroy any of the robots, since he was mainly jumping in the way, stopping them. Like, he was just stopping them in their tracks so that the other hero could destroy them. So he was getting rescue points, and that's it. Just tons of rescue points, and that's the only way he was winning. And he was like first in rescue points, but when they let the big one out, Deku jumped the full might of all One for All. It didn't make his arm look all purple and slabby all the time, but he wasn't looking fine, as he had just had a broken arm that clenched as he swung with the full might he had, and it was boom, 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 boom. While his arm was broken, Deku had his baseball bat in his left hand, and he punched with his right. Deku then slammed it into his legs, healing them, gritting his teeth because of how much the pain hurt, and then bashed it into his right arm, fixing that up too. Now he had to figure out how to hit the ground without doing any damage. Perfect. As he was about to throw a small punch with his last remaining strength and he was about to throw a small punch from his right arm to catch him. That's when the only person who I think could do it, Uraraka, did this. She caught him with a slap. She caught him, and then they both fell. But then the healer, recovery girl, said she was impressed, but did he need any healing? Deku saying no, he used his healing quirk, but he's a huge fan of her. Really? You have a healing quirk? Tell me about it. And then Deku explains it. Uraraka all this time being impressed about it. And Deku actually said, hey. And then they get to class the next. They wound up actually exchanging phone numbers and hanging out the whole 2 weeks. Just hanging out. Deku thought he didn't get any points. Still, it was good. But he actually wound up having the most points. Hold on. Yo, dudes, I'm back. Probably not for long, but just a minute. We have Deku just wrecking the scoreboard, as he's the only person to have done this. All Might has to do a one training go through the whole time with a bunch of other heroes. And All Might always takes first, but his skill level is mainly because he can break through everything, and there's always a new rule imposed. But while All Might is higher in power than everyone else, and slightly better of a hero, he's not that beastly form. But All Might's record was 260. Deku's record is 290. And this is not just a small record. He broke All Might's record which is one he set in his prime 1 year before UA training. Now, as impressing as it was, it wasn't his best showing of strength. Since Deku was impressed that he had actually amazed that he beat All Might's score. All Might saying he gave it all he had, and Deku was just better. Really? Yes, because I was more focused on breaking robots than I was protecting people. That was on me. Since I didn't need to protect anyone, being that my people were all able to just break robots with a flick of a wrist. And not many got in danger. But that's about all Might says before walking away. Now, you may see the strongest people have the worst physical fortitude and mental health. And that's mostly true. But Deku, he has a pretty bad mental health thing, because like if he lets loose, he might break things if he lets full out. So he doesn't. But you do hear that All Might is planning on having a successor, which is something that Deku even said. That All Might which is something All Might even said he's going to get a successor. And as amazing as it was, everyone's hoping it could be them. And All Might at one point even says he already chose a successor. It's someone whose power puts them up there with him. And he was wondering, who could it be? Then they realized, record breaker. Whoever broke the record was totally going to be the one. And they got first place because they broke the record. So we have to let them be, and they're going to be the successor. We have to be able to show them up, which is going to be hard since they were able to do that powerful thing. Which is kind of true. So the first thing about hero training happened where they have to do the thing, and Deku gets flying colors the full way. Baseball bat in hand. Now he had a different idea of what he was going to do. He threw the ball up in the air. And when it came back down, he took his baseball bat and used one for all with full might and swung it with a force of like 100% one for all and his full strength. Because he had to heal himself, that boosted his strength up a little bit too. Since he destroys his muscle and then he'll heal and it becomes bigger slightly. So when he hit this ball, it went boom, way more than in cannon. Alright guys, I'm back. So yeah, Deku basically dominates the full thing. He crushes the grip strength thing and hit uncalculable. It was either, his scores were either infinity, not really infinity, but like his were too high to find. And for that throw, it was almost infinity. Everyone's confused, like, what? They said, it went out of orbit and is no longer held by gravity, flying towards the sun. What do you think will happen? Okay, so we get back into where Deku has shown to be number one. And then they're gonna kick out. I wasn't sure who would be Invisible Girl or Mineta, because like they're both really kind of useless. But there is one that I'm choosing. When he was going to wind up throwing away Mineta, but then Deku stepped in saying no. This quirk is going to be a good quirk for catching people. What do you mean? Look, he told me his quirk. Y'all said y'all's quirk. Your quirk is that when you hit, that anything that hits your balls, those little purple balls on your head, will have that whole thing of being completely stuck. Which means that if someone's falling, and let's say they're just at the edge of the wall, and one of those sticky balls is there, or a complete group of them where it'll actually wind up where they hit them, they'll be stuck on them. Good point. And if we line things that are sharp up with those, they're going to stick in them and they won't do very much. Good point. Also, I think we should keep him in the class. Okay, fine. But they weren't completely certain. So, Deku even winds up going back and saying, "Alright, kid, you owe me." Mineta saying, "Okay." And said, "What do you want?" "Okay, there's a few things. One, I want you to stop perving on the girls. You'll get more girls that way." "Good point." "And the other? I want you to let loose. Like, not your whole thing about being perverted, but like, I want you to train hard and like work hard and be a beast." "Really? Yeah, I want you to be tiny, the way you are, but buff as a truck." "Okay, deal." "Why?" "Because I said so." "Alright, let's do it. And you have to join my training regimens. Note, my coach is really strong and pretty threatening." "Okay." And hearing, "Hey, you're letting this dude join your training sessions? To get him strong, yes?" And then, out of all people, Kaminari said, "Yo, could I join?" "Sure, man." And then out of nowhere, you hear the tape guy saying, "Yo, could I join?" And here, "Sure." As they're the mismatches. Like, there seems to be the least useful quirk. So Deku uses it to his advantage. He wound up even grabbing them three, saying, "Yo, come on." Getting their numbers, everything. Saying, "Yo, come on. This is when you wake up. This is when you get here." Deal. They they each get their own full-on American training routine. By all might. To get them as strong as possible, as fast as possible. Now you might be wondering, why wouldn't Omi just give one to the full class 1A? Well, because Deku had actually specially asked All Might to get them that. And they had them training with him in the training area thing of 1A, which was actually a good deal, as he went from training in gym. They went from four of them being in a gym and being spotters to, well, being beasts. Kaminari trained more of his physical strengths, because if his quirk is out, then he's basically out of luck. So he has to have lightning fast punches, which kind of fits his personality too. He's like quick on his feet. It's like he can weave hits and he can throw fast ones, but he's not good at just like throwing power behind them. Mineta, oddly enough, he's better at like dodging and then landing hits. Like, he's only good at dodging and landing, but his hits pack a wall behind them. For his size, at least. Then you have the guy who's, Sarah, the tape arms. He trained his physical strength. Oddly enough, he's better at, like, taking your weight and strength and using them against you. While Mineta's best for, like, distracting and dodging things, while he can land hits that are gonna knock your block off. Alright, so I'm back, so we've got Deku. He's the kind of powerhouse of the group, with physical strength being his main thing. Now, Kaminari isn't. He wants to be able to strike like a lightning bolt and shock them way out of their face. And Sarah wants to be able to, like, go with quick speed and just get around them to hit really hard. Because hitting hard is kind of his thing. And then Mineta, he says he wants to increase his speed and strength so he can start bolting around and punching people from nowhere. Dick's saying, "I have the perfect thing for all three of you." As All Might said, "I will train you perfectly for this." And then they even trained for a long time in martial arts. But then we get to the whole thing about the USJ. As when that happened, as surprised as Deku was, but he actually said before that he had added a few people onto his group. You've got the guy whose powers quirk with muscle when he eats sugar. Deku said, "I have an idea for you. Why don't you get strong without using that, and when you do, it'll increase you even more." Makes sense. Thanks, man. And then he turned over to the dude who's afraid to talk, saying, "Hey, yo, big man." Him saying, "Yes, what is it?" In a whisper, Deku saying, "Hey, your ability is to talk to animals, right?" "Yeah." "If there's no animals in progress anywhere near you, what are you going to do?" "I don't know." "Well, here's what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to fight them off barehanded. Or with a weapon." "Can you carry a weapon?" "I could. I just don't know which one would fit me." "I got the perfect one for you." As he said, "Come on. Join my training sessions." "Sure." Getting the numbers and exchanging them with each other. So they even wind up all, like he said, "Meet me here this time perfectly." They all make it there the exact same time. Gym gear in under the arm. And they walk up into the gym. And they're like, "Holy crap. Hey, yo, man, you bringing so many people here. You gonna pay for all of them?" They each got gym memberships with this one. And Deku even wound up training with them. He showed him, saying, "You should probably be faster on your feet, but also be pretty strong and dodge and flexible." Okay. The muscle dude, he just had to work out and get, fast on his feet, because it would help him a lot more. So everyone in the class, noting that Deku's probably the strongest one among them, and the people who have the worst quirks are starting to buff up against them. Then Uraraka, who Deku had kind of been getting a relationship with over the time, had actually asked to join. He said, "Fine, sure, everything works out." Mina asked to join. He said, "Sure, no problem." And then, out of all people, the invisible girl joined. Deku saying, "Alright, I have an idea. Let me see. Hey, let me try this." As he took a thing of flour. "What are you doing with flour, Deku, Mr. Izuku?" As he said, "Come here." They went over before they even got in there, and Deku just dumped flour all over her. Asking why he did that, he said, "Well, now I can see you, and I can see where you need work on." "Ah, makes sense. Let's see. Ding, 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 ding. Perfect. Now that you've gotten everything perfect, your training regimen should be this, 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 and this." "Okay." And it was. It was exactly those things, which was actually her training her speed. And he said, "You actually need to be able to dodge things faster than most people too." "Why?" "Because if any villain just shows up with a thing of flour, you're done." "Good point." "Because you showed up with a thing of flour and I got completely covered." "Yep." "Okay, so let's go." They wound up all going back into the whole thing where they wind up training. And then Momo even found out that they were training like this and joined. And she thought she didn't really need her quirk. She wasn't going to be able to use her quirk all the time, so training her physical power would be better off. And for her, he said, "Yo, you should train your legs more. Stats show that most girls have more leg strength than arm strength. In number-wise, they're supposed to be 3 times as strong, but for girls, they're more closer to 4 times as strong. And guys, they are not that close to being that strong. We have more upper body strength." Yeah, good point. "So y'all need to train y'all's legs to where y'all can actually throw some mad hits." And then Ito said, "Hey, I heard you're training. Could I join you?" "Sure." He did one day of training with Deku, as Deku saying, "So you're good with speed, but can you throw heavy hits? Like, you can't run away from this. You can't run towards it. You just, boom, face to face with someone in a ring like this. It's a boxing gym." So he says, "Sure, I can." And he goes to throw a punch at Deku. Deku weaves it and punches him in the side of the face. They're both wearing full gear. Well, Deku isn't. He's just wearing gloves. He's not wearing the whole head thing. But as he took this hit thing, what? I'm the fastest though. No, you've got faster legs. You don't have faster reaction speed. You need to train that. And he really does. And then when the USJ happens, they're all like a good chunk stronger. Now, they all trained and wound up even winning the fight because of our strength. But then they have the Nomu. Deku is doing his best to keep up with the Nomu, and he's like 1v1ing this thing. And the whole class of 1A is fighting the villains, as well as that, hold on. Alright guys, I'm back, so, yeah, just had to deal with that for a second. So, we have the whole thing where the USJ happens. It goes similar as in canon, but in this version, there's a slight difference as Toga's with them. One day when he got out of the gym, they all went and ate. They all left, but then one of the waitresses got off, and this was Deku. He said, I'm gonna leave last, I'm just gonna eat for a while. And they were all understood, because he had a big appetite compared to all of them. So whenever they all left, Deku was the last one, and he picked up his bat, and he walked away. But he saw that this girl, who was actually their waitress for a minute before having to leave, clocked out. And then was being attacked by 3 guys. One with the power of fire. He can make fireballs, and a weapon made of fire called a base, and it's a baseball bat made of flames. Another dude has the power to be able to double his hit power with every punch he lands. Any successful hit that connects will double the strength. But then you have the last one who has the ability to take your power and give it to themselves. But they have a limit. Those are all but one from different animes. Well, I'll let y'all guess which animes they're from, and then I'll tell you. Derriere from the 7 Deadly Sins is the guy who can boost his punch from everyone that connects. Bond's power, the ability to steal your strength and then, give it to themselves. And then the last one, the ability of fireball, is from Magma. That's the name of the character, who is in Black Clover. Now, these are good people I'm taking these powers from, except for Derriere, since she's, Ten Commandment demon monster thing. And Deku actually didn't know their powers, but he wound up fighting. Dude made a flaming baseball bat, and he was actually right about to hit her when Deku jumped in the way. It's like a solid thing. Like, he takes a regular baseball bat and just lights it aflame. It won't burn it's a metal bat, so it won't burn, but it's fine. This makes Deku pretty skilled with the hits. Now, bad thing about this is that when he had to wind up throwing his bat forward to knock this dude off his balance, which the double hit dude has been hitting him for like a solid minute. And then Deku just kicks him off of him. Then the final one is actually about to just break Deku with the whole stealing of his power, and almost breaks Deku's nose. Well, actually he does. And Deku returns swiftly with a punch in the face. And one of them remembered that they had to go back for something, since they left their wallet, which Deku actually noted that the person who left their wallet was actually Uraraka. And there wasn't much in it, but it was hers, so she came back. And Deku saying, hey, I left my... And Uraraka, right before she said she left her wallet, she saw Deku saying, oh no. And she went to go grab Deku. Like, really fast, she had to go grab Deku. Which Deku actually sent her a text saying, yo, you left your wallet. She was right about to get on the train. And then she walked back saying, oh. As surprising as it was, Deku was more than trained enough to be able to stop this dude. Hold on. Alright guys, I'm back. So we get back to the fight with Deku if I haven't finished it already. It's been a while since I got on the phone, so I'm not certain. So, yeah, we get back to the fight with Deku, and he won. And then All Might, Aizawa, and all them show up. hearing that there's a huge disturbance when someone called the police. Well, they called the heroes. And these three just happen to be All Might, Aizawa, and the final hero that showed us up might surprise you. It's Endeavor. Funny enough, Todoroki has been training, but he even trained with Deku once or twice. And he just started his training with Deku. And Todoroki, by chance, was heading back there when, Odoraka texted them all saying, hey, on the group chat for the, I'm going to give them a group chat for the workout sessions. They're all training. So it makes sense, right? So they all get called, what's up? Well, so-and-so is happening, Deku's being jumped, he's winning, but he's still getting pretty messed up. Bloody nose, and right before he leaves, one of them takes out a big, their quirk, out the flaming bat, slung it at full force, and chopped off and broke off Deku's arm. As it was bleeding out, Deku was angered, and he punched the dude with full force in the other arm. As he's got from the elbow down missing, all the heroes are confused, are terrified when they get there and say, Deku, and say, Izuku! When Deku sang, give me my bat, as he starts wailing on his arm, and healed it. Now, this is just a showing of you don't know what you're messing with kind of moment. And the dude's like, oh no. And then she actually asked if they're the heroes. Deku saying yes, and saying, well, question, would you like to join us? And she actually wound up even joining UA by Nezu's request, since, she saw what a hero could do. And she actually said she wanted to be a hero, but she couldn't. So Deku made it happen. Deku, All Might, Aizawa, all of them made it happen, and G joined with Class 1A. Now, there is a slight difference. So now, in the whole thing in the USJ, you've got her going to help the heroes. So she actually wound up stabbing. When Deku sliced open the Nomu, Toga had an idea. She had Deku get fighting while she drank the blood and actually turned into a Nomu. The look exactly, but different. And even then proceeded to act like she was taking orders from Shigaraki just to hit him in the face with a punch that knocked him down. Nomu, how do you think you're hitting? As then he turns around saying that Deku's fighting a Nomu and the Nomu's about to punch him. Wait, there's two different Nomus. We only brought in one. One's an imposter. And then we see that Deku is... Toga turned back because she didn't have enough blood to keep sustaining that form. Deku even wound up teaching her how to use it. Hold on real quick, guys. So, we get to the whole thing with Deku training. And when they win that fight, it's a hard-fought win. And they deserve the victory party they gave. Now, we come back to when UA is first discovered. Not really. What we do is we go back to when Deku got up, because they still have the whole thing about what's going to happen the same way. So they still have their 2 weeks off, but they're not planning on doing as much as as you'd expect. Mainly training, and because now that Todoroki joined them, he was training too. But instead of just training, I mean really training. He joined the sessions, and Deku said he needed to get lighter on his feet and not rely on his quirk so much. He said he only relies on half of it though. Deku saying, well, you need to rely on both sides, but right now you should only be relying on what you need to do. Asking what he meant is, Deku actually got the pool for them for a training session. And All Might said, sure, I'll even be the adults. I was saying, nah, I'm joining too. As most of Class 1A was there, they even got the rest of them to come for a training session. It's not really an official class training session, but they might as well have it as one. Now, they all trained for a solid few hours in the water. Their job was to move around as if they were fish. This was easier for some than others, but you never know when they're going to need to be water heroes for a minute. Deku noted he wasn't going to do very well on this, since all he could do was really blast forward like a jet. And on sometimes, that's a bad thing. But he wound up even getting top scores by actually being able to torpedo out like a jet and swim very fast. So, little by little, he went and through the entire thing, he was winning. Then we get to the whole festival. He one-man armies that thing. He runs it to full speed. He's first for the team thing. He gets whoever. And same thing, but instead of that losing to Todoroki, he said, Todoroki, do your best. Todoroki did, and then lost by Deku just straight up wailing on Todoroki with one dodge hit. He dodged the ice and power fire, and then wailed on, and then connected with Todoroki, knocking him clean out, sending him flying into the ring, out of the ring. Now Deku barely didn't collapse after this, but everyone needs recovery girl after Deku fights, so yeah. And the only one I think could probably stop Deku is himself, and that is all. So no one can handle him. Then we go over to the end of the year, because, yeah. Deku has to choose who he's gonna fight. They still have the same hero totems, but in this version he actually says, nah, I'm gonna fight everyone, and actually exchanged where it was Toga and Bakugo against All Might. They actually won that fight by Toga disguising herself as Bakugo about to throw an explosion, and then actually having Deku's blood in her, because he had, given her samples of his blood, and because she could use Slay bits of their quirk, she actually wound up throwing a smash that sent her flying out of there. And then got healed by the recovery girl. Now, this made it a lot easier for school, as now they have actually more healing heroes. But not very many, since it was just Deku. The only one I could see probably stopping this group, and Deku actually asked to fight every hero from class 1, from every class, and then Endeavor himself. Todoroki, surprised that he was actually going to fight Endeavor, actually pretty excited to see this fight. Deku won the fight barely. Like, it was down to him, All Might, and Endeavor. And it was because All Might and Endeavor jumped him, and that gave Deku a slight time where he could hit All Might with Endeavor. Like, he grabbed Endeavor by the leg and bashed him into All Might, which is one of the few ways he won. And then, he handcuffed them all and then walked away. Like it was nothing to him. And he even actually got them all arrested, kind of thing. Where they were all handcuffed and even carried them on his back to leave the city and go to the jail cell outside of UA, kind of thing. Well, it was impressive, but not crazy unstoppable kind of impressive, so yeah. Hold on a second, guys. Alright, guys, I'm back just for a bit, so we come back with Deku, straight up one, and then they showed that Deku was the strongest one there, and they actually wound up sending him away instead of the whole summer thing. He still goes with the summer group, but instead, they have him go first, saying, alright, we have 2 30-minute timers, Deku. I mean, Izuku. Which is just, I'm not sure whose voice I'm doing, my voice just hurts, it's just that. So they're saying, look, you have to go, and All Might's here in this version. No, you know what, no, he's not here. You know what he's doing? He's busy, because he is helping other classes with their power-up. That plus he has heroing to do, so makes sense. Which made a lot of fun, which was pretty fun for Deku, since it was actually where those 4 had still been there, and Deku actually was a huge fan. He asked if he could get an autograph, and they gave him a solid, okay, but you're going to be a hero too, aren't you? Yes. And he actually trained and trained and trained and trained and trained and trained, till no one could stop him. And he's a one-man army. And he actually got there before anyone else. Like, he got there before the bus. He's faster than a bolt of lightning. He punched away all the monsters, then took off like a bolt of lightning. Then his entire class left at the same time. Left about 5 minutes after him, and could not catch up as all of their speed barely prepared them for what they were doing. Because Toga's there, it's kind of a small makeup for the lack of Deku. But she still has his blood on her, so she is going to use that to her advantage, as if he was there with them. And because of that, he allows her to use at full force his power. But it's not crazy huge. It's still quite impressive, though. So we have Deku fighting, finally, fully. They have the training thing for Deku. He's going to be practicing on busting his body and then healing up faster. And training physical strength. But mainly Deku just wanted to, and Deku said if he could use one of the trees to make something. Because in his bag, you know, this bag that he carries around everywhere, there's actually something in there to break down wood. It's kind of like a grinder thing for it. And he uses it. He grinded it up and made it where he had a baseball bat. And they asked about it, what was it? Because he had a baseball bat for every one of the girls in 1A. But none of them knew about it. And then Deku gave one to each of them. And when he did, they all were super happy. And he even gave something to the guys. It's a baseball bat too, but it's different. Like, for the girls, he had to go through each and every one of their quirks. For Momo, he had to put Momo the creator. And he kind of did that for like all of theirs, different ones, like their title thing that he thought worked. Now, each of them now have a bat in their inventory if they need to use one. Which is fun, but I don't think it really works very well. So they don't really know what they're going to need a bat for all the time. And then Deku said, we're going to have a training session. Okay, what do you mean? Every one of you versus me. If y'all can beat me, you get whatever you want. Any one request, each of you. Bakugo happy as he might be able to get Deku to do something he wanted. And every one of the girls happy because that means they could probably get Deku to do something they want. And no, this isn't going to be an 18 plus because it's pretty obvious it's not. Deku, even though he let everyone go at once, he barely won the fight. Alright guys, we come back to where Deku just straight up owned the training session. And then when the whole, League of Villains attacked, they got stomped out like bugs. By? Well, Deku. The first thing is muscular. He just got swatted away like a fly and then broken in half. Like, literally, they left him broken, literally. Like, he's not dead, but he wishes he was. And then you have the dude who stole Bakugo. He barely made it off with Bakugo, like, in canon. So he barely makes it off with Bakugo this time, but the way he did it this time was by putting Deku in a ball. But it wasn't an easy thing to do, being that it could be like a powerhouse move. Because Deku, the way they did that was like taking Deku's power away. Like, it barely did anything. Since Toga stole Deku's blood, it's like, how'd you get out? And he went and checked the ball. Deku wasn't out, but he just got out when the dude let him out, thinking there was nothing in the ball. Confused on how that happened, he opened the ball, nothing. Then when Deku was there, boom, punched the face. The dude still got Bakugo, but they were all a lot more beaten up. Twice and everyone. Now in this version, instead of Toga being the one there, because there's no Toga, another thing happens. Toga has an older sister and a younger sister in this version. In this version, both of them are joining of the League of Villains because one's like a crazy middle school girl, and they're both obsessed with blood. When they see their sister drinking the blood of a giant monster kind of person, they actually think about it for a second. Actually, ask what she's doing there, and even wind up joining her and becoming, with the Deku. Hold on a second, guys. All right, so we get back to the whole thing where he does the hero, where he basically just ran through the whole thing, and they still got Bakugo, but they wound up losing 2 of their members, getting Bakugo. And they were 2 people driven by Stain, but they're also...
I did.
Hold on, bud.
I did.
Sorry, my nephews won't stop tapping and running behind me. So we get to Deku, who's completely wrecking everyone. And then when the whole One for All and All for One clash happens, Deku jumps in that. Like, he sees that right after they rescue Bakugo, and he's like, I'll come back in a minute. And he jumps there, landing a kick that almost shattered the breathing mask of All for One. When All for One turned his head, he saw a kid with a baseball bat, bashed it into his own knee, and fixed his leg, saying, "You. Oh yeah." And they go for a 1v1, hit to hit to hit, perfect match. But the only little issue with that is that they're all so strong that it makes 0 sense. Like, yeah, they're wrecking everything. They're going in a 1-to-1, like, complete brutality against each other. And then Deku steps in and just wipes the floor with one of them, and All Might's basically on the floor bloody. And he doesn't shrink back down, but he collapses. Right before he does, he's not big enough, so he still shrinks down to the decrepit form, but he's not as strong. But it allows him to actually win the fight, and Deku actually caught him saying, and when he pointed to Deku saying, "You are next. You'll be the next hero." Deku, understanding it, saying, "I will win. I will defeat everyone." Go, bud.
Why?
Because I'm doing something, bud. So we go back to Deku, just straight up won that. And then they have the whole thing where they're actually trying to join the whole hidden hero thing. And they have the whole thing of Overhaul. Deku just straight up stomped him out. Like he was jacked to him. Basically, Deku won this whole thing like it was nothing. Then we get to the end of this, and he actually became a hero. The #1 hero, and no one could stop him, not even the other heroes. Like, if all the heroes and villains all turned against Deku, it still wouldn't matter. Stop!
Why?
Because I said no.
Why?
Anyway, we get to the whole thing where we're finished.
Who was that?
We get to where we're finished and everyone's done.
Who was that?
Stop.
Who was that?
Stop.
Who was that?
Hold on. Alright, guys, sorry about that distraction. My brother and nephew wanted to be jerks to me, so I had to deal with that. We come back to Deku as #1 hero, full grown, after winning everything. Now, I heard you!
Go turn on the TV.
I swear they think I'm their slave or something. And he just said I am. Whatever. Hold on, dude! Give me a minute! Sorry you'll have to hear this side of me, guys. I don't like being loud or rude, but I really just want them to leave me alone for 5 minutes. I literally just cooked and everything, just so they can just do whatever they want. It's a pain.
Hey.
Go play, man! Go play, bud. So we have Deku flashing as an adult, being the #1 hero, and he has 3 kids that all look up to him. You have that one kid, what's his face? The guy who punched Deku in the balls in the summer camp, because that still happened. And then you have what's her name? That girl, sorry, I'm bad with names. So Eri, there's Eri, and then there's another one. I'm not sure what it would be, but I'm gonna go with Toga's little sister, who was about the same age as like Eri. did that whole thing of training the whole way, the way Deku, the way she won her with her sister. So they wound up losing the two Toga sisters, other than not the third one. They were actually amazed at this happening. Now, at this point, Deku is the hero. He settled down, had a life, has even a family, but eventually he got out word about his quirk. Someone found out and snitched on him. And they said these exact words. His power is transferred to whoever he feels like it. And they will have all his powers. As the strongest, that meant that someone else could become the strongest. With a cheat code kind of thing. And that makes villains always target him. And his family is kind of powerhouses. So, yeah. I'm going to say he settled down with Toga. And their kid is like a monster. Eventually, there's only two choices for One for All. His son and whoever is the next year at UA, as he is the number one hero. He trained and he chose his son. Shocker, he chose his son, not someone random who needed the heroics. No, because now they have a 100% quirk rate in the world, except for one person. His son was quirkless. He gave his son One for All, so he would have a quirk. And his son became the hero of pride and justice. And no one could stop him. Just no one could stop him. And then we start another year of My Hero Academia with, instead of Deku, his son. Being the newbie who's kind of shy, and the way his hair is he's got patches of kind of green, and then it's kind of circling each other with green and yellow hair. Kind of crazy looking, but he's pretty powerful. And his son also inherited Deku's fire personality in this version, where he has the bat. And he actually showed his son a picture of what he looked like back in the day. And that made sense now, because he has a mean face, a villainous face. And that's all that happened. This was part 1. Might be thinking, what's in part 2? What if Deku became a villain?